Wait, I gotta moisten up before. I gotta drink something.
Hi guys, I'm Joe from the Wishful Blasphemers and I'm back here with Inhaler. In this video we're going to be talking about some of the facts we know about each Jesus Loves Junkies album. So, their first album was called Sold, and it was released in late 1994. The singer, Jeff, started writing it when he was 16, 2 years prior to Sold being released. It contains their longest known song called Coil, which is 11 minutes and 9 seconds long. The album cover is simple and grey, containing the band logo, the band name, and the album name. At the time the album was recorded, there were only 2 members, Jeff and Pat.
1 year later, in early 1995, The Inner Sanctum was released, JLJ's second album. Orifice was recorded live with Jeff and 4 other band members, including Patrick as well. The album cover contains no title or band name. It might be a cross, possibly standing for the religion Christianity, being covered or destroyed by a black cloud, which could be seen as JLJ. It was recorded by Jeff, Pat and 1 other band member. This other member could have been a drummer called Aaron, as Pat previously mentioned, but we know very little about him and cannot confirm it.
Later that year, another shorter album was released. This one was called A Fellow Slave.
I don't believe that I can be saved. I am so worthless, I am a slave.
Thanks. This was their third album, and the album cover has a full caps logo at the bottom and some text at the top, which is probably another language, but I have no idea what it means, and it's not really something I can type into Google Translate. The song Pull Trigger was the live version of Trigger from Sold, performed live by Jeff, Pat, and 3 other band members. Background talking can be heard at a few moments in this song. Besides Pull Trigger, everything on this album was recorded by only Jeff and Pat.
In 1996, Four Finger Glove, the 4th JLJ album, was released. I'm not quite sure what the cover is meant to be. It looks like a few heads in the background to me, but Joe has a different perspective about that.
To me, the album cover looks just sort of like a zoom in on a full face, and you can sort of see like a nose at the top, but it's mostly the mouth.
Well, regardless, the album consisted mainly of new versions of older songs, with a few new ones mixed in, like Small Creation and Delayed, which used to be the only songs able to be found on the internet that were not included in the 3 main albums of JLJ, as is Nothing Under God, Stillborn Masterpiece, and The Great Escape from Paradise. Mr. Master is a cover of a song Jeff wrote with a friend, probably Pat, in high school when he was 15 years old, under the band name Silvicultura, which is Romanian for forestry. It was recorded by Jeff, Pat, and 2 other band members.
Also that year, JLJ released their 5th album, As Is Nothing Under God. This was their first concept album, so it was best listened to as a whole, in order. The cover contains a demon-like character and an angel-like character. It could be interpreted in many ways, but it looks really nice. It was the first of 3 albums that could be found on the internet before we built up contact to Jeff. Indaru is the first song ever to be uploaded to the JLJ Unofficial YouTube channel, and was the first song of this album to be uploaded to YouTube. It was recorded by Jeff, Pat, and 3 other band members.
The 6th JLJ album, The Divinity Box, was released in the same year as the 2 prior albums. The cover is a blue background with white or yellow scratches on the left. The album consists of rushed studio recordings of live versions of songs. Boiler Room was used as a live intro, so to say, before the actual song started. It was recorded by Jeff, Pat, and 1 other band member.
Then, the year after, comes Stillborn Masterpiece, the 7th JLJ album. The cover art contains a diagram of a zygote with some illegible text labeling it, and a picture of Jeff's eyes can be seen at the top. Multiple versions of this album exist, but we only know one, and that's the canonical 16 tracks which make this the longest JLJ album. Man of the World was recorded live by Jeff, Pat, and 3 other band members. Abomination in Bloom, The Yoke of Ivy, Wishful Blasphemer, Skeleton King, Save Yourself, and Fledgling Scarecrow were studio recordings with live recordings mixed in. Jeff gave his opinion on this album, saying it's easily my favourite JLJ recording by far. Production quality was lacking, but if you got the album, it was priceless, at least to me. Pat also gave his opinion on the album, saying, Stillborn Masterpiece is one of my favourites. Oh, the true message is deep. It was the second of 3 albums which were able to be found on the internet before Contact to Jeff was built up, and it was their second concept album. Kevin, an ex-member of JLJ who was there to help out with the live shows, confirmed that his favourite JLJ song ever is Herodyne's Circumporn of this album. He even uploaded an older version of it to his channel, and I'll leave a link in the description so you can check that out if you don't know about it already. It was recorded by Jeff, Pat, and 3 other band members.
The year after that, Golgothamore, the 8th JLJ album, was released. The cover is rather dark brownish or red. There's a lot of things on it, like a face, also something that looks like an arm and a rope, and many other things. It was pieced together over 2 years without real concern for continuity. Heavy Halo was written to Jeff's girlfriend at the time, who is now his wife of 15 years. 120 Days was written about a girl Jeff used to admire, but once he got to know her better, he realized she wasn't the way she initially seemed. It was the first JLJ album as well that made it onto a CD. It was recorded by Jeff and 1 other band member. Probably Pat.
And finally, their 9th and final album was The Great Escape from Paradise, released in 1998. The cover contains what looks like a weird leg with spikes and machinery, and where the knee could be there's a screaming face. I have no idea about the actual meaning. It's incredibly mutilated, but it looks cool nonetheless. It was the second JLJ album to make it to CD. There was more care taken about the production quality here, so the sound quality seems a lot more professional. However, Jeff always felt the vocals were rushed, which none of us really agree with. Guilty Tree was another song written for Jeff's girlfriend at the time, the same one who later on became his wife. During this album's production, JLJ were going through a lot of members, of some joining and leaving, and it was basically the beginning of the end of the band. The song Escape from Paradise is on this album, and it's JLJ's most well-known song, probably because it was featured in the game Postal 2. It is the third of 3 albums that were on the internet before we made contact with Jeff. It was also the first JLJ album ever uploaded to YouTube by the user Nostralo, who appears to be inactive now. It was their 3rd concept album, so again, it's best listened to from the first track to the final track, all the way through. And it's got a really strong apocalyptic feel to it, which fits the fact that it was their final album. I'm not sure if they did this intentionally or not, but by the way the band seemed to be slowly falling apart, it definitely seemed like a possibility. Only 3 people were credited for this album, that being Jeff, Pat, and 1 other anonymous person.
In early 1999, the last live show of JLJ happened. After that, nothing happened anymore, sadly. That's all the information we have on the 9 JLJ albums we know. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll have more to upload in the future. Bye.